The movie begins with a high school girl named Faye, sitting at her computer, anxiously chatting with her friend Sydney. Faye shares her dream of leaving the island for university but admits that her mother, still grieving the loss of Faye's older brother, is unsupportive. Moreover, Faye lacks the financial resources to fund her education. During their conversation, Sydney introduces her to an online game called The Game of Daring. She explains that it's a live-streamed game where players perform daring challenges assigned by viewers. These challenges garner views, and players earn money based on their popularity. The ultimate winner of the game takes home a prize of millions of dollars. Sydney outlines the game's 3 unbreakable rules. 1. All challenges must be recorded on the player's phone. 2. If a player fails a challenge, they lose all their earnings. 3. Reporting the game results in severe penalties, including losing all funds and facing a mysterious punishment from the game's organizers. Sydney admits she has already joined the game and urges Faye to create an account to watch her challenges. Faye is hesitant, but the next day at school she seems distracted. She's with her friend Tommy, taking pictures for the school yearbook. While photographing the football team, Faye focuses on G, the captain, who she secretly admires. Later, during a football match, Sydney, a cheerleader, performs a shocking dare in front of the crowd, capturing everyone's attention. Afterward, at a restaurant, Sydney brags about earning $500 from her challenges. She taunts Faye, suggesting that she's too timid to join the game. This remark stings Faye, and despite Tommy's warnings about the game's dangers and its connection to the dark web, Faye decides to prove her courage. Faye signs up for the game, agreeing to its terms. To her surprise, the game accesses all her social media accounts, collecting detailed personal information. Her first challenge is simple: meet a stranger in 5 seconds for a $100 prize. With Tommy reluctantly filming her, Faye approaches Ian, a young man reading one of her favorite books. She completes the challenge, earning her reward, but feels embarrassed. As the night progresses, Faye discovers that Ian is also a participant in the game. They both receive their next challenge: travel to Manhattan together on a motorcycle for $200. They complete it successfully, earning their rewards. Soon they separate as new challenges are assigned. Faye's next dare involves wearing an expensive dress from a boutique to win $500. At the store she bumps into Ian, who's also trying on high-end clothing for a similar challenge. Their light-hearted moment is interrupted by another player, Ty, whose challenge is to steal their clothes. Ty completes his dare, leaving Faye and Ian no choice but to walk out of the store in their underwear. Humiliated but determined, they head to Ian's motorcycle, where they find their stolen clothes waiting for them, signaling the game's dark humor and unpredictability. As Faye becomes more entangled in the game, the challenges escalate, blurring the lines between risk and recklessness. She starts questioning her decisions, but the lure of fame and fortune keeps pulling her deeper into this perilous game of daring. The expensive clothes Faye and Ian had been trying to buy are now found draped over Ian's motorcycle. This reveals the twist in Ty's second challenge. He had to steal their clothes and leave them on the motorcycle. While Faye is initially shocked, her mood shifts to joy when she receives $2,500 in her account for successfully completing her own challenge. Meanwhile, Sydney learns from Liv that Faye has joined the Dare game and has already surpassed Sydney's view count, sending her into a fit of jealousy. Faye and Ian move on to their next challenge, which involves Ian choosing a tattoo for Faye to get on her shoulder. Ian selects a lighthouse design, a meaningful choice that was featured in Faye's favorite book. This shared connection brings them closer, and the two begin to form a bond. At the same time, Tommy grows suspicious of Ian. After finding no information about him online, Tommy seeks the help of a hacker friend. The friend provides Tommy with a password to a dark website where he discovers a chilling video. The footage shows Ian participating in the Dare game during the previous season. In the video, Ian and a friend are on a 200-meter high crane. Ian's friend, attempting a perilous challenge, loses his grip and falls to his death. Horrified, Tommy tries to call Faye to warn her, but she doesn't answer. Faye and Ian receive a new challenge. Ian must drive his motorcycle at 60 km/h while blindfolded, with Faye guiding him. The prize for this dangerous challenge is $100,000. Initially terrified, Faye considers backing out, but Ian reassures her, convincing her the reward is worth the risk. Reluctantly, Faye agrees. Ty appears to provide a special sticker for Ian's helmet, a symbol of the game's approval. The challenge begins, and despite the danger, Ian successfully completes it, earning them both $100,000 and propelling them to the top of the game's leaderboard. At the same time, Sydney throws a party at her house. Furious over Faye's rising popularity in the game, she refuses to take Faye's calls. Ian suggests they attend Sydney's party to relax, but he has an ulterior motive. Once at the party, viewers of the Dare game target Sydney with a cruel challenge to cross from one rooftop to another using a narrow plank. Ignoring warnings from her friends, a drunken Sydney attempts the challenge. She loses her balance and nearly falls, dropping her phone in the process. Her phone breaking means she is disqualified from the game, devastating her. Ian and Faye arrive at the party amidst the commotion. While Faye tries to comfort Sydney, Sydney lashes out, accusing Faye of ignoring her calls and overshadowing her. The argument escalates until Faye storms off. Tommy arrives at the party and pulls Faye aside to reveal Ian's past in the Dare game, including the death of his friend on the crane. He also tells her Ian's most recent challenge, to bring Faye to the party and spark a confrontation with Sydney. Heartbroken, Faye confronts Ian, who tries to explain but is interrupted when Faye decides to report the game to the police. Faye finds a police officer and explains the dangers of the Dare game. However, the officer dismisses her, saying no action can be taken without concrete evidence of a crime. As Faye pleads her case, she notices Ian riding away on his motorcycle. Suddenly she gets a call from her mother, who informs her that their bank account has been wiped clean. Before Faye can react, Ty appears and apologizes, saying he must complete his challenge. He knocks Faye unconscious. Faye wakes up in a metal container with a small communication device. A voice on the device reveals itself to be one of the game's organizers, taunting her about the game's power and control. The voice tells her the only way to escape is to win the final round. The container door opens, and Faye steps outside to find Ian waiting for her. She demands the truth and Ian finally confesses everything. He and Ty have been trapped in the game ever since their friend's death during the previous season. When they tried to report the game to the police, the organizers retaliated by threatening their families. Left with no choice, Ian and Ty became pawns in the game, forced to complete challenges or face dire consequences. Ian explains that winning the game is the only way to free themselves from the organizers' grip. Faye is torn between her fear of the game and her determination to end its control. Together, Ian and Faye resolve to fight their way to the final round, knowing the stakes have never been higher, not just for themselves but for everyone still ensnared by the Dare game's twisted rules. He knows that helping her win the game is the only way to ensure her freedom. However, he also understands that if Ty reaches the final, he will stop at nothing to win. Ian is determined to prevent that from happening, no matter the cost. Still, he can't do anything without Faye's consent. They have to work together. Faye reluctantly agrees and reaches out to Tommy and Sydney. When the three meet, they quickly reconcile, with Faye explaining everything that happened to her. She insists they need to hack the game and destroy it for good. Tommy agrees but says they'll need a substantial amount of money to do it. Sydney immediately offers to cover all the costs. Tommy and Sydney head to Tommy's hacker friend, and the team works tirelessly to infiltrate the Dare game system. Meanwhile, Ian and Faye are taken to a large arena filled with spectators. They are told to stand opposite each other, each holding a gun, with the challenge being that one must shoot the other. Ian, resigned to his fate, urges Faye to shoot him and win the game. Faye refuses, saying she could never do that. Suddenly, Ty appears, offering to take Ian's place in the challenge. The audience, thrilled by this unexpected turn of events, votes for Ty to participate and kill Faye. Despite Faye's pleas for the viewers to realize they are contributing to her death, the crowd overwhelmingly votes for Ty. Without hesitation, Ty shoots Faye and she collapses to the ground. As Ian rushes to Faye's side, Tommy and his hacker friends succeed in breaking into the game system. They expose the real identities of the viewers, sending each of them a message that they are now implicated in the crime. Panic spreads through the crowd, and the viewers quickly flee the arena, abandoning the game. In the midst of the chaos, Ian discovers that Faye is still alive. He realizes that Faye and Ty had secretly devised this plan together to fake her death. Relieved and overjoyed, Ian and Ty celebrate their newfound freedom, knowing the game is finally over. As the game timer runs out, the Dare game shuts down for good. At the same time, Tommy and his team are able to restore the money that had been stolen from Faye's bank account. Faye and Ian sit together, relieved and happy that they have destroyed the Dare game once and for all. However, just as they begin to relax, an unknown figure appears, filming them with a phone. It becomes clear that the Dare game might not be over after all. The movie ends with this ominous revelation, leaving the audience wondering if the game will ever truly be finished.